afternoon, everyone. First, thank you to the committee and the organization for welcoming us for this great symposium and also for the opportunity for this lecture. Thank you all in advance for your patience. This is the last presentation before the coffee break. My name is Benoit Werner. I'm not doctor, I'm not physician. I'm international product manager in an Abbott company, and I'm in charge of guide wires, balloons, introducers, let's say access solutions to the lesions. Before starting the presentation, let me tell you a short story. Do you know that 1 on 4 or 5 guide wires used in Europe, Middle East, Africa is BMW? And when we ask doctors, physician users why they like this wire and why they use it, we always have this kind of answer. I say, because it works, because we can access and cross the lesion. Of course, this is the aim of each guide wires. And when we go a bit further, sometimes we saw that we have, let's say, not the same answer every time about the different blocks, advantages, and so on. So because of that, in the marketing department, we had the idea to develop some tools to really give you the keys to really understand each part of the design of guide wires. So here the aim of the presentation is really to go through all the blocks and give you the keys to have the right strategy, choosing the right guide wires there. Yeah, okay. So each guide wires are different blocks, design blocks. This is really important to keep that in mind, and it will help you to really read all the guide wires in the market if you really have all those keys in your mind and really understand what are the different challenges and different benefits of each blocks. Let's say in the 6 blocks divided in 2 parts, the core component, which is inside the guide wires, and the external component, which is the outside part of the guide wires. To give you a sense of why we divide it in 2 parts, the first part, mainly in manufacturing standpoint, is designed by machines. The external component is where we really customize the guide wires, and it's mainly done by humans. To give you a sense of that, in Abbott manufacturers and factories, you have more than 45 people involved on each guide wires. So it means that it's huge in different steps of the product development. So we will go through all the blocks very quickly and then see what would be the link with the different type of lesions, so calcified lesion or CTO. The first thing is the core material. So what is inside? This is really the heart of the wire, let's say. Mainly in the market, we see that, and historically, it's stainless steel guide wires. The good thing of the stainless steel guide wire is that you provide you good support and good torque, and also the good torque response, but shapeability. The interesting thing with stainless steel and also with Durasteel, which is just the second one, is it provides you the ability to shape, but also to reshape when you need it. The nitinol is the third one. The nitinol keeps the shape, it's more durable, so you can recross lesions, go in several branches, or use the same wire for different lesions. It keeps the J U shape. But on the other hand, it's always a balance. It means that when you shape it, it's harder to reshape compared to stainless steel or Durasteel. So here, the choice of the core component is really important because it's always a balance regarding what you need to do. The other internal or core component is the core diameter. The core diameter, how it will help you to navigate in the vessels, is that you can choose the diameter. So small diameter or larger diameter. What are the different benefits of that? First, if you have small diameter, you have more flexibility. So you have better distal access, but again, it's a balance. So it means that if you have less support, you have more flexibility, but it's a choice in your access strategy. On the other hand, larger diameter will provide you more support, more torque, but again, it depends where you want to go, which kind of lesion you want to cross, access and cross. The third core component is the core taper itself. So the core taper, you have 2 types of taper. I will come back on that just after. But the classical taper is kind of stages taper. So you have different level in the taper until the tip. You can have longer taper or shorter taper. Again, it's a balance between the first combination, so the core material, the different diameter, and then now the long or shorter taper. Again, longer taper provide you a tracking, better steering, tracking, more flexibility during the navigation. Shorter taper increase, of course, physically your support, and also help you if you need to make prolapse and use prolapse technique during the navigation. So again, it's a balance between exactly what you want to do and where you want to go. This is also a very interesting part. So the classical and conventional tapered core is the second one, is with different stages. As we talked about just before, you can have longer or shorter taper. There is another techniques and another kind of taper, it's the parabolic grind. Parabolic grind provide you an excellent torque, first an excellent response torque, and the second thing is that smoother tracking. It means that in the support level you can easily see that when you have a parabolic taper, you have a very smooth transition of the force. It's less the case with conventional taper, and when we compare different support curve, you see really physically the difference during in the charts. This is something I can show you if you want after the presentation on the booth. We have some models and some wires, and I can show you some tools to compare different wires. And you can really physically see, not only feeling the wire, but also on charts measuring the different support level. Let's switch on the external part. So we saw that with the core part we have the choice between different materials, different diameters, different length of tapered, and different kind of tapers. So this is really the heart of the wire. On the other hand, you have the external part, and the external part will provide you different benefits and make big difference between workhorse and specialty wires. So the daily use wire or the one you choose regarding different type of lesions. Let's talk about cover. The cover, it's usually confusion. We saw that there is a lot of confusion every time we talk about guide wires between coatings and cover. Cover, it's really kind of socket you have on the wire, and you can have three types of cover. The most common one, and the one we are interested in during these sessions, is the polymer cover. The polymer cover, it's completely covered by polymer, and then it helps you to have smoother tracking, less frictions, and better sliding due to the lubricity of the polymer. On the other hand, always it's a balance. You can lose sometimes tactile feedback you have with bar coils. The bar coils, it means that the coils are really on the wire, and this helps you to have the tactile feedback during the navigation. So you have those two possibilities. And in the middle you have intermediate polymer cover, which is bar coil, so you keep the tactile feedback, and on the other hand you still have some lubricity and easy for sliding. So to give you an example of that regarding Abbott guide wires, bar coil could be part of BMW, but you have mainly BMW Universal, which are intermediate polymer cover. If we go to full polymer cover, you can talk about Whisper, Pilot, or Progress. So those wire are more specialty wire, really dedicated to more calcified lesions or CTU. Another really important part on the external component are the coils. We sometimes forgot to talk about the coils or present that, but it's one of the most important parts for different reasons. The first and the most obvious one is really the tactile feedback you get during the navigation. Again, when you have full polymer cover, you lose a bit. You have, of course, a lot of benefits during navigation, but on the other hand, you lose a bit the tactile feedback. The coils will provide you this tactile feedback. The other thing is that it maintains the constant diameter of the wire. So it means that you have smoother navigation. It's also safer during the navigation. It allows the shape retention. How? It's the balance between the type of the core inside. So it means that the stainless steel, durasteel, or nitinol, and the coils will make the balance between the forces you will provide with the shape. So this combination between the coils and the core properties will really help to keep this shape retention more or less. And finally, of course, the coils optimize the tip visibility, the radio opaque tip coil. It's one of the key things during the guide wire usage. Another part of the external component is the tip style. Tip style, again, are really key part during the navigation and for the sensitivity. So we have two types of core. The first is the core to tip. Core to tip means that the tip, so the stainless steel or the Durasteel or nitinol core, touch the tip, and then the coils cover everything to have constant diameter of the guide wire. This provides you really precise control, tip control, but also tactile feedback and better steering. On the other hand, you have the shaping ribbon. Shaping ribbon means that the core is not touching the tip, and the link is done between with the coils. And how we can, let's say, improve the shape is that glued to the tip you have a small ribbon named shaping ribbon that helps you to shape and keep the J when you shape your guide wire. For example, BMW, they are shaping ribbons in most of the models. If we go to core to tip, it's more specialty wires, such as Whisper, Pilot, Progress, or Workhorse Versaturn. So those two things are also really important when you make your strategy to choose the right wire regarding the lesion. This is a key part. When we test some guide wires, and we talked about it during the navigation in models or in wet or dry model, always this question is coming and say, is it hydrophilic guide wire? In 90-95% of the case, it's hydrophilic guide wires. The difference between hydrophilic and hydrophobic is that one is attract waters, the other one is repels water. But in the two cases, it's let's say intermediate between the full polymer cover and the bar coil. Most of the wire are hydrophilic to help to reduce frictions and to help the navigation during the treatment. Let's go on this chart. This chart is really interesting because it provides really in a simple way the balance between lubricity and tactile feedback. If you want to increase or improve your tactile feedback, go on no coating. Mainly the guide wires we provide are hydrophilic coating. If you want to have more lubricity and then maybe have less tactile feedback, then go on polymer cover. So this is really a simple chart, but it helps really to understand the difference and the balance in the guide wire choosing. As let's say last slide, this slide is really interesting because regarding what you need and the performance characteristic, it helps you to make the link between the different blocks. We present six blocks, internal, external, the core material, the diameter, the different type of the design of the taper, also the different type of design or the tip. But the interesting thing is that to make the connections between the design itself and what you really need to have the key to choose the right guide wires. So if you need lubricity, of course we talk about cover and coatings, so or the polymer or the coatings, hydrophilic, hydrophobic. If you need stiffness, of course we'll talk about the tip style, but also the tip materials. If you need support level, then we will talk about more diameter and materials and taper style. So it's really important to really keep the block in mind, to really understand, I mean not about guide wires, but mainly all the guide wires in the market, to really keep that in mind. And moreover, if you need radio opacity, we'll talk about the coils and the markers. If you need durability, we'll talk about core materials and tip, etc., etc. So here, as conclusion of this presentation, is really keep in mind the 6 blocks and how it works and how the balance of each blocks. What are the benefits of each, and it will help you to have the keys to understand all the guide wires in the market, and moreover to not have only a name in mind and say that Whisper is good, Pilot is good, etc., but really keep exactly what you need to have guide wires in your toolbox. As last takeaway message, we usually heard and saw that in our Abbott experience, that mainly in the toolbox, physician will need between 5 and 6 guide wires usually, 2 workhorse guide wires mainly, with maybe different design. For example, the tip could be the differentiator, and let's say 3-4 specialty wire then to cover your daily needs. If you want to try any, I can of course answer to all the questions you need. If you want to try any wires or try in the model or have further discussions regarding different type of case, you are more than welcome to come in the Abbott booth to see that. Thank you for your attention.